National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening. This is the National News Telecast. I'm Movin Hettiarachi.
And I'm Kasani Balachandra. Here are your top stories for tonight.
All arrangements have been finalized for the GCE O-level examination. The fuel quota to be increased. The President invites Japanese entrepreneurs to invest in Sri Lanka. New plan drawn to attract foreign investors. Retirement gratuity of 2022 will be paid within this month. The US says Russia cannot win the war against Ukraine.
We move on to those and other stories in detail, and taking a look at your top local story tonight. The Commissioner General of Examinations, Amit Jayasundara, says that all measures have been finalized to conduct the GCE O-level examination.
The dispatching of sets of sealed examination papers to examination coordination centres will commence from midnight today. Meanwhile, National Dengue Control Unit says dengue control activities in the examination centre premises will be expedited. Commissioner General of Examinations Amit Jayasundara said that the ordinary level examinations will be held in June, except on Post and Poya on June 3rd and 4th. Following the Sunday, he also said that 472,553 candidates have so far applied for the examination, further adding that total candidates are 394,450 are school applicants and the rest of 78,103 candidates are private applicants. Meanwhile, dengue control activities in state and private institutions island-wide commenced today. 37,209 dengue patients have been identified so far. Out of the amount, 8,300 cases were identified from Gampaha district. Many patients have also been reported from Colombo, Kaluthura, Trincomalee, Batiklo and Puttalam district. 50% of the entire amount of patients are from the Western province.
Minister Susil Premajant says that evaluation of A-level answer scripts should not be delayed. The minister informed the relevant officials that if there's a need of money, it should be obtained from the Treasury. Evaluation of A-level answer scripts recommenced after a delay of 3 months. Samagi Janabalapege parliamentarian Rohini Kaviratna said that evaluating answer scripts of economic subject has been stopped at present due to a payment issue. The examination department has promised to pay an attendance allowance of 15,000 rupees at first. However, the commissioner said later that only 10,000 rupees can be paid. The Minister of Education, Susil Premajant, said that combined allowance of 550 rupees for the teachers has been increased up to 2,000 rupees. The amount was increased up to 2,900 rupees for the teachers who travel from distant areas beyond 80 kilometers. Advance payment for them will be made for 5 days.
The buying rate of the US dollar decreased up to 295.63 rupees. The selling rate is 308 rupees and 54 cents. Accordingly, the rupee has further appreciated against the US dollar. Meanwhile, Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara says the fuel quota issued under the National Fuel Pass system will be further increased in the coming months. In a Twitter message, he said the decision has been taken following a discussion with representatives of finance, mineral and marketing divisions of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. He also said that they reviewed the goods and finance and distribution plans for the corporation at this discussion. President Ranil Wickremesinghe invited the Japanese entrepreneurs to start new investments in Sri Lanka.
The President pointed out that the government has taken a number of important steps recently to create investment-friendly background in Sri Lanka. President Wickremesinghe revealed these facts addressing a roundtable business discussion held in Tokyo under the title of Sri Lanka's Economic Revival and Opportunities for Japanese Investments. This discussion has been jointly organized by the JETRO Japan Sri Lanka Business Corporation Association and Sri Lanka Embassy in Japan in order to strengthen the economic relations between Japan and Sri Lanka. President Ranil Wickremesinghe further said that Sri Lanka has clearly identified the importance of Japan as an essential economic partner for Sri Lanka. The president said that both countries can have many benefits by further increasing the cooperation between the two states. Sri Lanka's strategic location and skilled labor force will be a catalyst for Japanese companies to expand their operations in the island. It has been confirmed at this roundtable business discussion that the president's dedication to revitalize Sri Lanka's economy and to gain sustainable economic growth.
Sri Lanka Business Corporation Committee will continue to serve as a bridge for economic.
The finalization of the debt restructuring plan has commenced.
Sri Lanka has to understand, and now that they have, that we have to go along with the world economy. The principles of the global economy applies to us. We are not exempt from it. And the first is to win the confidence of investors so that the people have a future. To do so, our first step is in regard to Japan. From time to time, Japan has been generous and helped us. When Prime Minister Abe was in power, I negotiated with him for certain number of projects, the LRT being the most famous, the Central Expressway, Section 3, the FRSU, and of course the East Terminal in the Port of Colombo. All these were cancelled. LRT was cancelled without the cabinet being informed, just by one official. The damage was done. Confidence was lost. So what are we doing now? The cabinet agreed that we can't allow this to happen again under any government. So we are bringing in laws which will ensure that once a mega project agreement is signed, it has to be tabled in Parliament, annual reports given on the implementation to Parliament, and it cannot be changed or altered without the consent of all the parties involved. So that will ensure that no government can take arbitrary decision on the basis of a report given by a few individuals. Then in regard for the private investments, we do have investment treaties which are guaranteed by the Constitution, but I will bring some more laws to give further effect to those investment guarantees. We are looking at the whole procedure in Sri Lanka, and the debureaucratization that is going on now will ensure a lot of the rules are removed and investment proposals, the decision is taken within a given time frame. We have had Board of Investments and an Export Development Board. I am doing away with all that and bringing one single Economic Development Commission which will be the sole authority on making decisions, and the law will prescribe certain periods within which such discussions are made. So I am absorbing export development and investment promotion to one agency.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe also had a discussion with Deputy Prime Minister of Vietnam, Tran Le Quang, in the sidelines of Nikkei International Conference. The two leaders focused attention to enhance bilateral and cultural relations between Sri Lanka and Vietnam. Meanwhile, the president had a discussion with Japan's digitalization minister Taro Kono. The president elaborated on Sri Lanka's digitalization move. The Japanese minister expressed their support for Sri Lanka's digital transformation program. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also joined a meeting of Japan-Sri Lanka Parliament Friendship Association.
Meanwhile, State Minister Dilun Amunagama says that technical support and knowledge needed to prepare for investments-friendly legal framework in Sri Lanka will be obtained from the World Bank. The minister made these comments presenting information on the new investment zones scheduled to be opened in the future. The economic crisis has had a negative impact on the entire world. Post-COVID situation, Russia war and the increase of inflation, and the Western countries have mainly led this crisis. The world economic downturn has also had an adverse impact on Sri Lanka's export sector. Considering all these backdrops, the government has prepared new rules and regulations to provide facilities to attract new investors. Among them are setting up investment facility centers, implementing programs to attract 100 IT service companies, encouraging 50 BOI projects to reinvestment, and forming advisory councils to identified sectors. Kapalturi area in Trichinopoli district, the chemical factory premises in Paranthan in Kilonnachi district, the Kankasanture cement factory in premises in Jaffna district, Mount Kulam area in the Mullatif district, Iranvilla area in Pulatown district. The second stage of Binguria are also scheduled to be in new investment zones. MC's mineral company is ready to invest $19.8 million US dollars. The Glovers International Company invests $15 million US dollars. The Kinnan Investment Institute will provide $4.1 million US dollars. The State Minister said that these companies have already signed the agreement with BOI. State Minister Dilun Lamunagama said that an investment-friendly environment is being created. The suspended agreements are being reactivated and released. The required rands have been also finalized.
The condolence motion for the former Speaker, late Joseph Michael Pereira, was presented in the Parliament today. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that when the name Joseph Michael Pereira is mentioned, people who live all over the fishing community express a huge affection and love for him, as when serving as the Minister of Fisheries, he had played a major role in strengthening the lives of the fishing community. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that he would like to mention that late Mr. Joseph Michael Pereira has shown exceptional independence as the then Speaker of the Parliament. He also said that he announced the important decision of giving small parties and the Parliament committees the opportunity to speak up in the Parliament. Former President parliamentarian Mahinda Rajapaksa said that as far as he recalls, late Mr. Joseph Michael Pereira has only come to the Parliament from the national list in 2010 and has scored highest votes from Jayala, representing the Gampaha district since 1976.
Samagijana Balavegia parliamentarian Iran Vikraratna presented a draft bill to amend the Act of Declaration of Assets and Liabilities to the Parliament. Samagijana Balavegia parliamentarian Iran Vikraratna said that he is submitting the bill to amend the Declaration of Assets and Liability law. He also stated that the country changes will not only be by registration but by example. He said that he is taking this as an opportunity to ask the current president as well as the two former presidents in Parliament to make their assets and liability statements to the public, so then eventually all other ministers, officials and parliamentarians will have to do so by example. He also added that corruption cannot be eliminated by reducers, and he expressed that the system change can only be done by setting up an example.
State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya says that the pensioners' gratuity allowance of the year 2022 will be paid before the end of this month. He made these remarks joining a ceremony held at the Ruanwala Rajasinghe Central College today. State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that they had 360 billion rupees to be paid to small road constructors. The annual colours awarding ceremony of the school was held today under the patronage of State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya. The students who won colours were presented with awards and certificates.
The mobile service organisation organised by the Minister of Justice was held at the Trincomalee District Secretariat today. Many problems of the people in the district coming under purview of the Justice Ministry were solved in this service.
This mobile service was organised under the patronage of Minister Vijay Dasa Rajapaksa and Commissioner of the Office for the Missing Persons and Chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, W.B. Ganegala. Over 500 persons came to this service seeking solutions for their problems. Attention was also focused to the affected people during the war period who have lost their properties. Minister Vijayadas Rajapaksa said that it has become a severe problem to prevent youth from dangerous drugs such as heroin, ice and so on. The government has intensified the relevant laws and brought necessary amendments through the parliament. Some dangerous drugs are severely addictive, and that if a youth uses it once, it becomes a habit. After all, such an addict lives a very short period of time. Therefore, parents have a serious responsibility to protect the future of their children.
A special ceremony to mark the 75th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and the USA was held at the Sri Lanka Embassy in Washington, D.C. recently.
A program to promote Sri Lanka as a popular tourist destination among the US citizens was also held in line with this ceremony. This has been organized by the Sri Lankan Embassy in the USA with the help of Things to Do DC Society. A large number of members of the society were present at this occasion. Ambassador Mahinda Samarasinghe informed the US citizens present at this moment on the tourist attractive places in Sri Lanka, Ceylon tea, an exclusive taste of Sri Lankan spices and many other marvels in the island. The ambassador also invited the US citizens to visit Sri Lanka to have first-hand experience of these marvels. A photography exhibition targeting the US tourists was also held at this ceremony. A Sri Lankan cultural troupe also performed. A typical Sri Lankan diner was also offered to the visitors at this occasion. Many US citizens focused attention to the exhibition stall that displayed numerous varieties of Ceylon tea. Foreign news right after this break.
Katumi, Bantamai.
Now on foreign news. The United States' highest-ranking military official has said that Russia will not achieve military victory in Ukraine and Kiev's forces are unlikely to push back. All Russian troops come from a territory anytime soon. General Mark Milley, chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff, said this war militarily is not going to be won by Russia. Milley told that Russia's original strategic objective, including toppling of the government in Kiev, are not being achievable militarily. He also said that there is hundreds of thousands of Russian soldiers in Ukraine, which would make Kiev's objective of recapturing all the territory lost to Moscow forces unlikely in the near term. These statements were made at a conclusion of the virtual meeting of the dozens of countries that are members of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, also known as the Ramstein Group. He further said that it means fighting is going to continue and it is going to be bloody. It's going to be hard, and at some point both sides will either negotiate a settlement or they will come to a military conclusion. Milley's assessments add to the number of forecasts that are in the war. Ukraine appears to be dragging on, with neither side's position to win a clear-cut victory and no negotiations currently taking place. Russia's former president Dmitry Medvedev, a key ally of the President Vladimir Putin, also said Moscow's war in Ukraine could continue for decades.
A man has been arrested after 4 people were killed in a rash shooting and stabbing attack in Japan. The alleged assailant stabbed a woman and shot 2 policemen with a hunting rifle in Nagano Prefecture. A 4th death was later confirmed, and the police have named the suspect as Masanori Aoki, the 31-year-old son of a local politician. Gun violence remains extremely rare in Japan despite the killing of ex-Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in July last year. Shootings of multiple police officers are even rare, with the last incident taking place more than 30 years ago. In Thursday's incident, police received a call about a man who had chased and then stabbed a woman. An eyewitness working in a nearby field told that the attack had been carried out with a blade of around 1 foot long, and when the witness asked the suspect why he had stabbed the woman, he is to have replied and to have said that he killed her because he wanted to. He was reportedly wearing a camouflaged uniform, a hat, sunglasses and a mask. It was not immediately clear of how the 4th person died, described as an elderly woman. The suspect later barricaded himself for nearly 12 hours inside his father's home in a quiet residential area of Nakano City, together with his mother and aunt. His father, Masamichi Aoki, is the Speaker of Nakano City's Assembly.
A paralyzed man has been able to walk simply by thinking about it thanks to electronic brain implants and says it has changed his life. Gert-Jan Oskam, a 40-year-old Dutchman, was paralyzed in a cycling accident 12 years ago. The electric implants will wirelessly transmit his thoughts to his legs and feet via a second implant on his spine. The system is still experimental stage, but leading to UK Spinal Charity has called it very encouraging. He has said that he feels like a toddler learning to walk again. He can also now stand and climb stairs. He has also said that it has been a long journey, but now he is able to stand up and have a beer with his friends, and it was a pleasure that many people doesn't realize. The development, published in the journal Nature, was led by Swiss researchers. Professor Jocelyn Bloch of the Lausanne University, who is a neurosurgeon who carried out the delicate surgery to implant the implants, stressed that the system is still a basic research stage and many years away from being available to paralyzed patients.
A man has been arrested for opening the emergency door of an Asiana Airlines flight as it was landing in Daegu, South Korea this afternoon. An airline official said a man in his 30s who was sitting at the emergency seat seemed to have opened the door when the aircraft was about 700 feet above the ground and about 2 to 3 minutes from landing in the city 240 kilometers south of Seoul. However, company officials told that the plane had landed safely. Local police said a man had been arrested and he confessed to opening the door but would not say why he did it. South Korea's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport said that the police and the ministry are investigating the individual over violation of aviation law. Any person who contravenes the Aviation Security Act, which includes passenger operating doors, exits or equipment inside an aircraft, could be prosecuted and sentenced to up to 10 years in prison, the statement said. The ministry also said that it had dispatched an aviation safety supervisor to the site to check whether there was an abnormality in aircraft maintenance. A total of 200 people were on board, including 194 passengers. According to the Daegu Fire Department, 12 people suffered minor injuries from hyperventilation and 9 of them have been sent to hospitals in Daegu.
Prima Katami Bantamai.
The official jersey of the newly introduced Sri Lanka national cricket team was launched yesterday at a special ceremony held in Colombo.
The jersey was first offered to the Test captain Dimuth Karunaratne and captain of the women's team Chamari Athapattu. Secretary to the Sri Lanka Cricket Mohan De Silva, Chief Executive Officer Ashley De Silva and many players and distinguished guests were present at this occasion. Civil Defence Department became the champions of Public Services Volleyball Tournament. Sri Lanka Police team became the runners-up. The tournament was held at the D.A. Rajapaksa grounds in Beliata this year. About 600 male and female players participated in this tournament. A welcome ceremony for Ayomal Akalanka, who won the 3rd place at the 400 meters hurdle event at the 5th Asian Youth Athletic Tournament, was held in his hometown Hatton recently. The Asian Youth Athletic Tournament was held in Uzbekistan.
Prima Katami Bantamai.
That's it for tonight's English News telecast. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night.